Wiz lives here.
And so it's running with no lag. It takes a while to get started. Alright, so if you have an X6100, you've probably seen WF server. And the XIEGU is a great little radio, but there's not very much information out there on it. You can connect to it Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, serial through the device port, and a multitude of devices through the host port. So it's a versatile radio. The WF server was never intended to be used for a full-blown remote control radio. It was put there for FL Digi and FT8, small text packet transfer over a QRP low-powered radio. It was just never designed to be a remote control radio with waterfall and control and audio and everything. But you can do it. Serial ain't going to do it because it's only 19.2 baud and all you're going to get is control and audio. You're not going to get a waterfall. Ethernet through the host port is the best option, but it chokes on all three after about 4 or 5 minutes. So that being said, I mean, it was never an option. They didn't intend for it to be used in that way. And it may work with some other programs, I don't know, but as far as WFView, it will not work. But what you can do is eliminate the audio port on the server in the radio and then use other means to get audio into your computer. And you have to use remote desktop protocol to do it. And the problem with remote control or remote desktop protocol is it doesn't do audio transport worth a darn. You can record and listen there. You can record and listen here, but you can't listen there and record here, or you know, vice versa. It just, you can't mix and match. It doesn't work that way. And TeamViewer will let you do it, but it's so big it defeats the purpose because the latency is so bad you could never use it. And most other applications out there that I found, there's some that will do it, but they're so large that it's not feasible to use in a remote desktop protocol situation. So I figured out a way to do it using VB audio, talkie and receptor, and this video will show you how to do it. I'm not going to show a particular setup and all the options needed to make it work, because every system's different and I'd be inundated with questions, and I'm just not going to deal with that. So this video is for a guy that knows a little bit about computers, knows a little bit about the internet, knows what he wants to do, and this is a shove in the right direction. Alright, so the audio port, 5 zeros, you have to edit that. And you can do that with a adapter on the host port and a wireless mouse keyboard, which will let you edit that audio field from 50003 to 5 zeros, thereby making the audio port not usable. So I have power into the radio. I have the antenna out, which is the only cable going over to my base setup. And you have to have a dongle that goes into the microphone port, which lets you use a studio mic, boom mic, and a PTT switch, which you can make out of a Ethernet cable or you can buy one, doesn't matter. and an Ethernet adapter, which would go into the host port, giving you Ethernet out, which is what the server is using inside the radio. So basically, I've set up this station here on my table. I do have some headphones, but they're not connected right now. Don't need them connected, but it's there. You can actually run the whole thing from this computer, but you're hardwired to the radio, so what's the point? I mean, the whole point is to make it so you can use it remotely. So the speakers are there just so I can play music and other shit while I'm working on stuff, but you don't need those. So I got no microphone into the radio right now, or the computer. I got no speakers out. I could turn listen on my speaker ports, and then I would have the audio out the speakers, but I just have the listen turned off. So yeah, basically I got powering everything. This one wire right here is the one that runs over to the antenna, and that's it. Nothing else is connected to my base station, but I'm going to be going out my base station kickers to my antenna from the XIEGU X6100 remotely through a Samsung tablet with cat control, audio, full audio, and full waterfall through an RDP connection, remote desktop protocol. So I'm using multiple cameras here, so I'm going to be switching here shortly, and I'll get rid of my portable keyboard and mouse and get it set up with another camera. Be right back. And the one thing I did forget to show is a USB adapter dongle, because USB works better for RDP in and out. So that's what I've got connected to the radio, to the microphone into the radio, and the headphones coming out of the radio, going to a USB jack on the back of my computer. So I'm not using line in, I'm not using speaker, and I'm not using mic on the computer. The audio stuff is running through a USB connector. I've made all my connections through the network, through my VPN. I'm connected to my router, and I've got everything turned on. So what I was trying to tell you is serial isn't going to work because it will not do video. You can't get a waterfall with it. Wi-Fi is too slow. Ethernet chokes on all three, so you can turn off the audio and do it that way. It's the only way you're going to do it. So I'm going to connect to my computer, and there's nothing connected to this computer other than my charger, because my laptop just died on me while I was doing this video for you guys. So anyway, I'm connecting to that. The radio is the server. That is the client to the radio. You cannot connect a client to a client, which is what you would do in serial. So the only option you have is remote desktop protocol. And for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call that the host, because it is the host to the client through remote desktop, which I am now on. My icons have changed. I got extra screen over here because it doesn't quite, it's a wider screen here. But as you can see, I am remotely connected to that computer. And that computer logged off because I logged on as the same person over here, and you can't have two people logged on two different places. So if I minimize this, I'm back on my home screen. My icons are all the way outside where they should be. So if I'm over there and that's listening to the radio, and I turn B-band talkie on, I have audio. I don't have the speakers turned on because my microphones aren't listening. I don't want I could run everything from over there, but there's no point in it. It's hardwired, and I want to do it remotely. I want to be able to go to a coffee shop or sit out in my truck and access the internet. So, or I mean my radio here at home hooked up to my base station. So, receptor over there is what would be listening to me talking here. And you're not going to see anything yet because I don't have talkie started on my side. So I'm going to minimize over there on the host. Now I'm back on my computer here, my laptop, and I'm going to start talkie. And it is listening to me talking through my microphone. And receptor is what's going to be listening over there. So I've got audio. And if I go over to the remote, audio, it's hearing me over there. I tried voice meter and it worked, but it was too big. It's like TeamViewer. It takes too many resources, too much lag. It just wasn't going to work. Then I tried V-band spot, which is also a talkie, and was listening to it with receptor, and I had spot on each system and back and forth. And I got to thinking, well, why would you even want talkie if you have to have spot or voice meter to make it work? So I did a little more research, and sure enough, V-band talkie and V-band receptor work independently. You don't even have to install them. You just download them and use them. Very low profile apps. They don't take any resources hardly at all. So now I'm over there. I'm going to start WFView. And it doesn't matter where you're at. It takes a couple seconds to get going. And the squelch, the microphone, monitor, they do nothing because I'm not using audio out of the WFView app. It's all independent from my radio. Radio takes